Hi everyone, welcome you all. In this video, I'm going to show you how to implement page object model pattern in Cypress. So first of all, let us see what is page object model pattern. So page object model is design pattern where page objects are separated from automation test script. So the main advantage of a page object model is reusability and maintainability. Now let us see exactly where the page object model pattern fit into. So first, for example, let's say I have multiple pages in my application. So let us assume I have a login page. This is my login page. And I have another page called, let us say I have a registration page. Then I have one more page, let us say book flight page. Okay. Now to automate these scenarios, I need to interact with the three different pages. Let us say I have one test case. And in this test case, I want to perform the login and another test case I have, and in this test case I need to validate registration process. Then I have another test case 3 in which I need to validate the book flight. So to automate test case 1, I need to interact with one page, and to automate the second test case I need to interact with the two pages, that is a login page and registration page. Then if you want to automate third test case, I need to interact with the login page, registration page, and then finally book flight page. Now let's see this scenario. In this particular scenario, in the first test case, we need to locate elements which are present in the login page and we can interact with them. In the second test case, we need to locate the element from the login page as well as registration page. So when you locate the element from the login page, here we are duplicating the elements because those elements we already identified in the first test case. Again we are re-identifying those elements. And when you come to the test case 3, and here also we are going to interact with the login page, registration page, and book flight page. And here also we need to locate the elements from 3 different pages. So here there are two problems. One is redundancy. The same elements are locating in each and every test. The second problem is, suppose tomorrow if any element attributes have got changed, we need to modify those elements in each and every test case wherever we have used those elements. So they are the two problems. So one is duplication, the other one is updation. So to overcome these two problems, the page object model pattern came into picture. So in the page object model pattern, what we will do is we will create a separate classes for every page in your application. So we will create a separate classes for every page in your application. So then what you have to do is, whatever the elements are present in this particular page, we will write all the locators inside this class. Similarly, registration page elements will be part of this class, and book flight page elements will be part of another class. So for every page in your application, we will create a separate classes, and those classes are having only the locators, object identifiers. Then in the actual test cases, we will write only the code or logic which will use these locators from the classes. So this is basically called as a page object model pattern. So in the page object model pattern, we are dividing the page classes, separate our page elements into page classes and test scripts into other files. So both we will be separating. So now we'll see implementation practically how we can, but before implementation, the advantage of page object model pattern is reusability, because here the advantage is, suppose I have created 3 different pages, 3 different classes for 3 different pages. So here how we can overcome these two problems, duplication and updation, is, suppose if you locate these elements, login page elements in one class, you can reuse this class in any test case. Similarly, the second class which contains the registration page elements, so these elements we can use in multiple test cases. So tomorrow, for suppose here we no need to duplicate the elements, we no need to re-identifying the elements multiple times. The other thing is, suppose tomorrow if any elements or attributes are modified, we can just go and modify these classes, respective class which is belongs to that particular page, and we no need to modify the test cases. So we can overcome these two problems by using page object model pattern. Now we'll see practically how we can implement this page object model pattern in Cypress. Now go to your Visual Studio Code Editor. Now here we already have integration under this examples folder. In the examples folder, so far we created some of the test cases, right? Similarly, we need to also create a new test case, but before creating a new test case, first we need to create a page object class. So here the process is, we need to first identify what are all pages we have in our application, or what are the pages which we need to interact with. And once we have identified, then we have to create a page object classes for every page. Now let me take one small page, and then I will create a page object class. Then I will use that page object class in my test script. Now go back, Visual Studio Code Editor, and here first step I will create a page object class. So where we have to create, so under integration, I'll create a new folder, and I'll name this folder as page objects. I will name it as a page objects. This is my folder name. So inside this folder, I will create page object classes. Now how to create page object classes? So before that, let me identify the application. So let's go to the browser. Now this is my application URL. Let me just put it here. So this is my application URL. So I want to perform the login test, and to do this, I am going to use page object model pattern. So in the page object model, we need to add few elements from this page, like one is email, password, and then login we need to add. Now let us create page object class. Go to Cypress, and under page objects folder, I will create a new file. I will name it as loginpage.js. Loginpage.js. So JavaScript file. Now in this particular file, I need to create a page object class. So how to create? The first thing is, I'll start with the class keyword and then give some name to the class. I'll say login page, and inside this class we need to write a methods. So here for every element we need to locate, and also we need to perform certain operation. So how we can do that? So first step, we need to launch my web page, right? So for that I will write one command here. Let's say visit, the first method I'm writing. So this is my visit method. Inside this, I'll use Cypress command. Let's say cy.visit, and here I'll specify the URL of application. Now go back, copy this, and specify this. Right. So now this method, whenever I call this method from this page object class, it will go and open my application. So here we need to add cy, not crypto. This is cy.visit. And if you want to locate these things, we need to specify the reference. Just go back and here specify this reference. Okay. Now cy.visit, this page URL will be launched. After that, the second thing what we have to do is, we have to write something else. So let me just put one more brace. Yeah. So this is the first method I created. Whenever I call this method, this will open my URL of application. Now the second step is, we need to fill the email address here. So we need to first locate this element, right? So for that, I will create one method. Let me just say fill email, and this email will come from actual test case. I'm getting that value as a parameter. So in this, what I will do is, I will define cy.get. So here we need to get that element, right? So cy.get, go back to the application, inspect this element. Now let's get the one of the attribute of this element we can use as part of attribute. So here I have ID, so equal to email. Now copy this, go back and specify this. So this is an attribute, so we need to put in the curly brace. So let me just put in the square brackets. We can just remove this single quotes and put everything in the square bracket, because this is a CSS selector. Now this will get the element. So as soon as I get this element, save that element in a variable. So let me just create one variable called field. Okay, so field equal to. So this field variable should be constant. We can specify as a var or constant, whatever. So this is just a variable declaration in JavaScript. So once we get this element in this field, then try to clear that field before entering a value. So how we can clear? Just use a clear method. So after that, the same field, I'm going to type a value. So for that, we use Cypress command called type. And what is the value we have to enter? This value. So whatever value we are getting as a parameter, the same value I'm passing here. So this is the actual action method which we have created in the page object class. Now the page object class contains action methods, and which includes the page elements. Now this is the first method I created. Similarly, I will create one more method to fill the password. Let me create another method, but before that, as soon as you fill something, we have to return that one. So return this. So when I say return this, what will happen is this particular method is belongs to this particular login page. So later we will create one object of this login page in our actual test. From there we will call this method. So we always return this. So return this means this is representing the class in JavaScript. Now similarly, I will write one more method, fill password. So fill password and then value. And again, I'm taking another field, and this time attribute is different. So attribute we have to include in the single quotations. So this time I need to use another attribute that is password. For the password, the ID is password, ID equal to password. Copy this and then specify here. So ID equal to password. All right. So now with this, we have located three elements. One is email and the other one is password. Let me put in the single quotations. Now again, we are clearing the field and then we are passing the password value. So I created another action method, and finally I need to also return this. Return this. Then after that, I will create one more action method which will click on a login button. Click on this login, and here type equal to submit, value equal to login. So let me just type equal to submit, copy this. Let me use it as a CSS selector. So for this, I'm giving another name. So let's say submit. This is another method. So first of all, again, we need to get the element cy.get, and here type equal to submit. That is an attribute. So I'll put in the square brackets and remove this double quotation. So this is a CSS selector for submit button. So after that, again, you can save this in some variable. Let's say I'll name it as a button. And this button is also, we need to specify as a constant. It's a type of the variable. And then we need to perform click action on this button. So button dot click. So this will perform the action. Right. So now I have created three different methods. They are called action methods. Inside this, I have located all the elements. So finally, we have to do one more step. So this class should available for all the test cases, right? So whatever test cases we are going to write under examples folder should able to access this login page. So for that, what we have to do is at the end, we have to export this class. So for that, we need to write one command called export default. Export is my command, export, and that's default, and then name of the page. That is a login page. All right. So now, so where we have to write this after closing everything. So here we need to write one more bracket, and at the end, this statement should come. So after completion of the entire class till here, at the end, we have to write this command, export default login page. So then only this page object class we can use in our test cases, right? So now we have created our page object class. Now in the page object class, just created one method called visit, fill email, fill password, and then submit, and I have exported here. Now, so this page object class I want to use in our actual test case. So let's create an actual test case under examples folder. Now here I already created one test called page object pattern demo.spec.js. So currently in this file, I have just imported that. So I can just remove this. For now, I have a describe block, and here I given the suit name, and I have it block. So here we need to write actual test code. So which is already created earlier. So let me just remove it. I'll write again. So in this particular test, we need to write all your code. So currently we already created login page.js. Now we need to call these action methods in our test. All right. So how we can do that? So here, first of all, if you want to use this login page, or if you want to access this login page in our test, we need to first import it. So how to import? So here we need to write one command called import. Which one we have to import? Login page. Import login page. So import login page. P is an uppercase letter. Okay, so import a login page. From where we have to import, that also we have to specify. import login page from, in the single quotation, we have to specify the location. So one dot representing the one dot slash representing your parent current folder structure in the project directory. And when I say dot dot slash is representing current. So inside the project, we have integration folder inside this examples. So dot dot slash representing current project directory inside this examples, not in examples, right? In the page object classes. So dot dot slash page objects slash, here the page name is login page. So that also we have to specify. So this is an import statement. So before writing the test case, we need to import the page object class from so and so page class. So this we have created under page objects folder, right? Under integration folder. Now, once we have imported, then we can call all the methods which are already created in the login page. Now, let's call those actions in the it block. So it block is representing one task. So here the first thing is I need to create an object or a reference variable of this login page. And through that reference variable, I can call the methods which are created inside this login page. Now let's create it. So for that, I need to use constant and say login equal to, or we can simply say, okay, login or LP equal to new login page, right? So new login page, right? So then LP dot, you can see here. So automatically it will display all the methods which are already created in the page object class. Now what is the first one you have to select? Visit we have to select. So as soon as I call the visit, it will go and call the visit method from the login page and it will launch my page. So after that, again LP dot fill email. So here we need to pass the email address as a parameter. So in the single quotation or double quotations, we need to pass a email address. So this is my email address, admin@yourstore.com, and then LP dot again fill password, and here we need to pass the password. So password is admin. We can pass it here. So after passing the admin, then I need to log in. So again LP dot submit. So this is also another method we created under page object class. So just we have called action methods which are already created inside the page object class. So what the action methods contains? Action methods contains the elements. So whatever elements we have identified in that page, we have captured those elements and we perform the action. So now we have separated all the page elements into one class and actual test into another file. So after submitting, I can apply the validation points. Simply you can use again Cypress command cy.title, which will give you title of the page. And then I'm expecting the title. For that I need to use should class and should method. And here I'll say b.equal, should be equal. I'll say should be equal. And the title of the page, in the single quotations, I need to specify the title of the page. So after successful login, I'm expecting the dashboard page. So the title of the dashboard page is this one. So dashboard/NOP commerce administration. So this is my validation point. Now this is my actual test case. So now we created one page object class which contains all the action methods along with the page elements. Now I'm calling those action methods from actual test just by creating an object for the class, and through that object I'm calling all the action methods, and internally these action methods will use these elements. Okay, so in future if element attributes have got changed, they have to just come to this login page.js and modify these elements attributes. But test case we no need to modify. All right, so that's it. So now let us save and execute my test. So I have done. Go to your actual test case we have to run. So internally it will call the page object class. Now to run this, we need to open the terminal and then launching my test runner, Cypress test runner, by using Cypress open command. So once it is launched in my test runner window, I can run this test case. Now let it launch. All right, so my test runner window is launched. Now let me run my test. So here page object pattern demo_spec.js. I'm just clicking on this, it will launch my browser. Now it is launched in my browser and now it is start executing my test case. Let's wait for a few seconds. All right, so now it is launched my URL, entering email address and password. Then click on the login. Now it is still trying to page load, and now verify the title. Now we can see this my assertion got passed, right? So this is how we can write page object model pattern. So in the page object model pattern, we can create a page object class. And if you have a multiple pages in your application, you have to create multiple page object classes. And we can use those page object classes in multiple test cases. That's the main advantage of page object model pattern. So once you create your page object class, and whichever test case are required those elements, you can just reuse this page object class in multiple test cases. And tomorrow, if any attributes have got changed, the elements for those elements, you need to just modify the page object classes, not exactly the test cases, right? So that's how we can achieve reusability and maintainability of the page object model pattern in Cypress. All right, so that's all for this video, guys. Thanks for watching.